have fought like a fighter, and he won this damn fight.
Right.
This is a disgrace.
Listen, Teddy, I just grabbed the score sheet from
This is
the
a
ring
disgrace
announcer.
here. There should be an investigation. This is what's wrong with boxing. This is what chases our great fans away from this great sport.
How you doing, everyone? My name is Ryan and this is Ade, and welcome back to another edition of BoxTalk. Today, history's on the line. Miguel Cotto goes for his 4th world title to be the only Puerto Rican to do it, but he's got one problem. He's going against a real middleweight champ of the world, Sergio Martinez. Sergio's been injured. You don't know what's going on with Sergio. Cotto's a smaller guy coming up. Does he have enough oomph to take on Martinez? Ade?
No, he doesn't. But before we get into all that, let's talk about what this fight means. And we've had, again, crazy boxing year. 2014, not as good as 2013, but it's starting to really catch some heat now. So I think by the end of the year, it's gonna overdo 2013, which is saying something. But this will probably outdo most of the fights, if not all of them this year. And I mean that. I mean Pat Brad. I mean Mayweather Maidana. I mean Canelo Lara. This is the fight I think everyone's been waiting for.
I think the argument can be made that this is the best main event we've had this year, especially on the pay-per-view side of boxing.
Easily. And you know why it's the best pay-per-view? Because Miguel Cotto is doing what Miguel Cotto does, very similar to what Bernard Hopkins does. And they're one of the only fight. He fucking has some balls and he's taking the risk.
Taking the best on again. Exactly.
He's doing it as we always do it. But I think this time he's probably gone just too far.
It's a good point you mentioned about taking on the best. This is a fight that I'm thinking about this fight before we started filming. I never actually thought about that. Thinking that when you look at both of Martinez and Cole, they both have always strived to fight the best people all the time. I don't have to say their names. You know the fighters already. Look at Cole's record since he's come up. Since he's came into the game. I mean, the marketplace is what, 2004, 2005. Look at Martinez since forget when he made his name 4 or 5 years ago. Look who he fought coming up before he made his name. This is two guys that always put it on the line. These are two guys that always try to fight the best people and take the risks.
Yeah, and this is it. But the problem is, let's just hit facts straight away, as facts should be done. Miguel Cotto is fighting 160 pounds. There is no way on this earth Miguel Cotto should be fighting 160. And look, 154, I even thought was a push for Miguel Cotto in terms of he shouldn't be fighting at 154. He should be fighting at 147. We've seen him. Yeah. He's not big. Yeah, he eats a bit like everyone else does, but there's no way he can't get himself down to 147 again. I mean, did he not fight Pacquiao 3 years ago and catch him at 145?
145, yeah. I mean, Cotto's the type of guy right now where he's going for this fight literally for the legacy basis. Yeah. I think there's no belief in his mind or anyone else's mind that if he did win this fight, he's going to defend the title. He's not going to go in there and defend against the top guys in the division, i.e. a GGG, a Peter Quillin, a Daniel Gill, or a Sturm. Yeah. He's not going to try to unify. He is too small overall for this. And I think he's picked this fight because Martinez is a small middleweight. As much as he's now a natural middleweight because he's been at the weight for 3 or 4 years and made, what, 5, 6, 7, 8 defenses. Yeah. So he's now a middleweight. But if you watch any Martinez fight, you can see he's clearly undersized. Yeah. And that's why he's chose his fight.
Yeah, look, you move weight divisions for reasons. You move weight divisions if A, you're struggling at the weight, which people have done. We've seen Amir Khan recently do it and do it successfully. Or B, you've cleaned out the division, almost similar to what Timothy Bradley done when he moved up from 140 to 147. Cotto doesn't really tick any of those two boxes for me. I firmly get the idea of wanting to be the first Puerto Rican to be a full-weight world champion, and you can understand the chase for that. And I firmly am behind him in terms of he's not picking, if you like, a paper champion at 160. He's picking the champion at 160. So I get that as well. But there's no reason for him to jump from 150 54 when he's not fought Canelo, he's not fought Trout, he's not got the rematch against Trout, and he's not fought Lara. Those are the guys I'd expect him to clean up before he even thinks of jumping to 160.
You know, looking at talking about history and looking at history, I was just thinking about another Puerto Rican fighter that tried to go through the weight and try to be the first 4 and went to go to 5 world titles. Felix Trinidad. He was a monster, a total absolute animal at 147, at 154, and a less of an animal at 160 than until Hopkins got his hands on him. After that fight, he had fights at catch it, winking right, and at 165. The skills are not there. You can't just go from when you're 147 and you're that type of frame and that type of build. You can only go a certain limit. After a while, it just starts falling off. You meet guys that are your size or as bigger and as strong as you. And that's the thing with Cotto right now. He's gone from 140 to 147, and we all thought that was his weight. 154, you can see there's a slight deterioration.
Of course
in
there
him.
is.
And now he's going out one more time. It's that step too far, in a sense, whereas physically you just can't do it.
I think the thing he's looking at, and I just thought about it now, in terms of some of the guys that he's fought at 154 at catch weight, so to speak, you look at Margarito and Mayorga.
Yeah.
Those are two very big guys that could easily go 160 comfortably. Yeah. Remember, Margarito beat, if I'm not sure, Martinez as well back in the day. Yeah, they had a little fight as well. So I think he's banking on the fact that he's already fought guys that are probably the same height as Martinez, probably walking to the ring at the same weight as Martinez, but those guys are come forward kind of sluggish fighters. Martinez is completely different to them.
They are not the type of athletes Martinez is.
Yeah.
And that's what worries me. Not worries me, has me concerned for Cotto in this fight. Yeah. Whereas obviously it's a fight, everyone has an opportunity to win.
Yeah.
But when you're going a little slower because you're going higher and you're fighting a guy who's arguably the fastest guy in the division, who's nimble, who quick darts in and out, has that herky-jerky movement, in, out, in, out, in, out. It's kind of hard for someone like Cotto to keep on top of them or catch up with them when you're the smaller guy carrying extra weight.
There's a couple of things they're banking on here. When I say they, I mean Cotto and Roach. They're banking on the fact that, look, Martinez has come off a couple of really, kind of, in a sense, he's probably worse decisions or worse fights for the last few years in terms of Chavez Jr., in terms of he was kind of running away with it, then he got caught at the end and almost hanging on a bit. And obviously we saw what Murray did as well. Yeah. Murray was a tough fight for him, but those guys are really big 160 guys that have, well, Chavez Jr.'s moved up to 168, couldn't even make 170. He couldn't even do that. Struggled against Vera, and Murray, he's probably going to go to 168 eventually as well. And how good are Martinez's knees? We know he's had reconstructive surgery. We know he's had problems with the knees for a long time. Are they banking on the fact that Martinez moves a lot, he needs to move a lot because of his style? Will he stand there and trade with Cotto? Yeah. Even if he does stand there and trade with Cotto, we all can see what Martinez can do. We saw about what happened to Paul Williams.
You know, here's the thing about it, when you're looking, again, in long-term terms, you've got an athlete, and when you talk about an athlete, you need to build stamina and endurance. Some things you can build over time. Yeah. Endurance and stamina takes time to build. Yeah. Once you're injured, and you had a fight last year, April.
That's when he's fighting.
And then you had a fight the year before, which was, I think, was summerish, end of summerish. So you look at within two and a half years, you've had 2 fights, and you're an athlete that bases your style on incredible fitness, incredible endurance. You can't maintain that when you're inactive. It's going to be very hard for Martinez coming back from such a long layoff with injuries to reach the type of pace he wants to train at. And even though he might train well, training well and fighting out are 2 different things.
Freddie Roach has already tried to, if you like, get a pupil to beat Martinez and Chavez Jr. Chavez Jr., look, we know he's not going to stick to a game plan as soon as he gets into the ring. He's not mature enough yet. Not his fault. And he's just not an athlete as well. Cotto is definitely that. Cotto's mature. We know that. We've seen it in performances. And he definitely is, I wouldn't say an athlete, but he definitely is someone that doesn't look like he's struggling when he gets to round 12 in terms of stamina. So he's definitely got someone in there that he thinks he's got a plan to beat Martinez. And you just never know with Cotto. I think 160 is too much of a push for him. I mean, look, he's picked a guy that you say, like you say rightly, is one of the smallest middleweights. Yeah. But you're not picking just the smallest, you're picking the best. Yeah. Everyone can do the GGG factor. Look, I'm very high on GGG as well right now. But the facts are the facts. Yeah. Martinez is the number 1 middleweight in the world, and his resume says he's the number 1 middleweight in the world.
You look at Martinez's record, look at GGG's record, and you say Martinez fought every guy.
Who has Martinez fought?
Let's look at Williams, Havlik, Macklin, Barker.
Chavez Jr. Martin Murray.
Paul Williams.
Twice,
even before that, Kermit Cintron.
Yeah.
I mean, Appenangulo. You fight Angulo as well.
We'll double check that.
Double check that one. But yes.
Margarito.
I mean, you look at GGG, he hasn't fought no one like that. This is the best guy in the division. What I will say is Cotto's opportunity to win this fight. We cannot forget, Cotto is a legit Hall of Famer, one of the legit best fighters of his era. He knows how to fight. He knows how to do certain things in that ring that other people will not understand. He will see things and see little flaws and little tricks that he could capitalize on. So even though he's a smaller person, he knows this.
Yeah.
Even though he thinks Martinez is certain style and certain attributes against him, he knows this.
Yeah, you got to look at it. Remember, Cotto, and they've had this argument about who's A side and B side. Cotto is the A side of this fight. Cotto picked Martinez. So when Cotto goes out there and picks Martinez with Freddie Roach, they've picked for a reason. They've not picked because of this is an easy chance to get a belt. They picked for, wait a minute, we can see something here on the last 2 fights we can capitalise on. And eventually, look, we're talking about, 5-time trainer of the year, Freddie Roach. We're talking about Hall of Famer Miguel Cotto. These two working together, you never know who wins this fight, how they win it.
I'm going Martinez. I think Martinez quite comfortably with a competitive decision, but it'll be quite comfortable. I'm looking maybe 112, 116, 112. I think Cotto, as good as Cotto is, I think he's a smaller guy coming up. Cotto's been getting slower going up in weight. We don't know how he's going to look at he's 159, the weight catch weight is at. Martinez is an athletic fighter. He's based on stamina and speed. He darts in and out. I think it's going to be very hard for Cotto to catch Martinez and land clean shots. Cotto wants to work the body. The opportunity is not going to be there for him. Martinez is going to circle him and move around. Cotto's best bet, like I said, is using experience and helps have a little Mother Nature on his side, and that old age and that knee of Martinez is not as in good shape.
Very quick before I give a prediction. You're right. Something we haven't really touched on in the video. 159 pounds.
Yeah.
£1. First and foremost, is it allowed if someone's going for full weight world championship? He's going for the middleweight championship. Middleweight championship's 160 pounds. Is that allowed for him to actually dictate that the fight is at 159? And B, to be called himself a full weight world champion if he does win? And why, where's all this catch weight things coming into boxing nowadays?
Okay, to be fair, once you're over 154, you're a middleweight. So if you weigh 155, you are a middleweight. You can no longer fight at junior midweight. So yes, in terms of is it fair? Yes, it is fair. Is it right for professional boxing? No, it's not. It's not really right. You should fight at the weight class. But I think that £1 doesn't mean nothing in the fight. That £1 is a power play from Cotto to say, I'm controlling the decisions made in this fight.
Okay, look. Yeah, same here. I'm with Ryan in this one. I'm going for Martinez, and that hurts me. Believe you me, guys, it hurts me to say Martinez because I love Miguel Cotto. Everything about him, everything he does, in the ring, out of the ring, I'm a big fan of Miguel Cotto. But to me, 160 is just a step too far. If Miguel Cotto, on the other hand, have cleaned out the 154 division, I mean, we're talking about beat Canelo, beat Lara, avenge Trout. I'd have said, you know what, sell on your way up to 160 and see what you can do. But that's not been the case. You almost, if you like, jumping the title holders at 154 and going straight to 160, and that's not the play for me. And that's why I feel like Miguel Cotto loses this fight. I think Martinez is going to be too fast. Yes, he's had knee surgery, but I still think he's too nimble for Cotto, who we know is quite flat-footed. And I think he's stronger than Cotto as well. So all the plays for Cotto, for me, he loses on this one. So I'm going for Cotto. I'm going for Martinez quite wide.
Yeah, and the thing about it as well, unfortunately as well, which I don't want to be putting bad words on Cotto, but Cotto is not coming for a great record himself. He's, what is he, 2-4 or 2-5 in his last 5 fights? 2-2 or 2-3 in his last 5 fights. So, like I said, he's not really done well against bigger guys. And he's doing another one who's, unfortunately, the legit champ of the world.
All right, guys, look, what do you think? Who wins this fight? Sergio Martinez or Miguel Cotto? 2, banker in terms of Hall of Famers. One's going for full-weight world champion. First Puerto Rican to go to be a full-weight world champion. Can he do it? Leave your comments below. Email us at
boxtalk@hotmail.co.uk, and don't forget to hit subscribe.
And guys, remember, check out ringnews24.com for all his latest boxing news and views. And thanks for watching another edition of Box Talk.